East Alabama and West Georgia. Dr. Don with you in the Shepherd's Weather Center. Severe weather coverage brought to you by Southern Union State Community College. It is 7:33 Central on your Wednesday evening. And unfortunately, here we are again. In as much as 1 week, we are looking at our second possibility of significant severe weather across Alabama and eventually across Georgia as well. It is that time of year, so this is not anything out of the ordinary as we go through this multiple times throughout severe weather season. Now, sometimes we have more severe weather threats than others, and last year we didn't have that much. This year is looking to be rather active, and so we're going to talk about this thing for a little bit this evening, kind of give you a heads up on what you can expect as we head into your Thursday. I do want to caution you just a bit because last week we had a threat of severe weather, and for most of you across East Alabama, that did not materialize. So I don't want you to take this threat lightly because last week was not a bust. Contrary to what you may have seen on Facebook, lots of folks said, last week was a bust. Y'all are just trying to scare us half to death, that sort of thing. But now understand, we had almost, I think it was 22 tornadoes confirmed in the state of Alabama last week. I believe that is correct. And so if one of those tornadoes touched down on your street and did damage to your home, then last week's forecast was not a bust. Understand, severe weather, the odds of a tornado hitting your house during a severe weather outbreak is rather low. But when there is that threat, you need to take it seriously. So just because we didn't have a tremendous outbreak of severe weather across East Alabama last week does not mean that that can't happen tomorrow. So please pay attention to this. All right, so it does look like the best opportunity for severe weather will be across northwest and central and northeast Alabama. We're talking about places up there like Hamilton, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Gadsden, and points north, up around Huntsville. Those areas also have the highest risk for severe weather. They are in a moderate category. And then if you come down a little bit further, you'll see the orange area. That is an enhanced area. And that would be from about Anniston down to near Clanton, down to around Demopolis. And then below that, and for most of East Alabama and West Georgia, we're looking at a slight risk. That is for places like Ranburne, Wedowee, Roanoke, Lineville, Ashland, Alexander City, all the way down to around Rockford, and then Clanton down into Montgomery and Selma. And then below that, from extreme southeast Randolph County down through central Tallapoosa County and down to around Montgomery, from those points south, we're talking about a marginal risk for severe weather. Can tornadoes occur in that slight marginal risk area? Absolutely. You can have tornadoes in the slight risk area. You can have tornadoes in the enhanced risk area and the moderate area. So just because the risk for severe weather may be a little bit lessened across East Alabama and on down into the Auburn-Opelika area doesn't mean that the threat is not there. It certainly is. So let's talk about what we are expecting. We think, again, northwest Alabama will carry the highest risk for severe weather on Thursday. And that time frame would be from noon through 8 p.m., and then across central Alabama from noon until around 10 p.m., and then across east central Alabama from 7 p.m. through midnight tomorrow night. That's the timing that we expect this line of storms to take. Now, it will be a weakening line of storms as it continues to move off to the east. Still pretty potent when it comes into northwest Alabama. It'll lose a little bit of its punch as it gets into central Alabama, a little bit more as it gets into East Alabama, and then really start to fall apart as it gets along and south of I-85. So it will be in a weakening mode, but again, the parameters will be such on Thursday afternoon into Thursday evening that we could see severe weather break out anywhere across, pretty much across the state of Alabama and eventually the state of Georgia as well. So this means that in that red area up there, we expect the possibility of strong tornadoes, damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour, and golf ball-sized hail. The orange area, that's the enhanced risk area. We expect tornadoes, damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour, and quarter-sized hail. The yellow area, which most of East Alabama will fall in the yellow area, that is a slight risk of severe weather. We could see a tornado or two, damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour, and quarter-sized hail. And then down there in the green area, the marginal risk area, minimal threat of tornado and damaging winds. So if you live in the state of Alabama and you're covered by a color, then it's possible you could see severe weather Thursday afternoon into Thursday night. But again, as I always tell you, do not get caught up in the different colors because there is a threat of severe weather across the entire state of Alabama on Thursday and Thursday afternoon. So, let's see. Let me take care of some spam going on over there in the chat right quick. And then we'll continue this conversation. All right, so what do we need to do to prepare for this possibility of severe weather? Well, there's a few things I want to talk to you about. Local television and radio. Well, maybe not. Not in East Alabama anyway. That's why we do what we do. So your best option there will be smartphone and weather app on that smartphone and wireless emergency alerts. Make sure your wireless emergency alerts are turned on your phone. Now, there are so many different types of phones out there. It's basically the same process on all of them, but Google your phone and just Google your model and how to turn on weather emergency alerts and wireless emergency alerts. And so then you'll get instructions on how to make sure that's turned on your phone. If you're getting Amber alerts, then you're already set up to receive tornado warnings. So that's that. Make sure that's turned on. Also, you can download an app, and folks ask me all the time which one's the best one. They're all basically the same. The facade may look different. If you're using a television station or any type of online weather service, the facade may look different, but they're all basically work the same way, and all the information comes from the same place, the National Weather Service. So just make sure that if you download an app to your phone, make sure it's one that can receive or send you severe weather alerts. That's the main thing. And of course, word of mouth. That is a big one. That's a huge one. We preach that here on Dr. Don's weather page. We ask you to share Dr. Don's weather page with your friends. Ask your friends to share with their friends and their friends to share with their friends. Go to Dr. Don's weather page and like it. Go to our individual Facebook groups. We have one for East Alabama, one for Central Alabama, and one for North Georgia. And request to become a member of the group depending on where you live, or all of them if you'd like. It doesn't matter. And we'll let you in the group. And that way you're guaranteed to get notification when severe weather information is given by the National Weather Service. We forward that on to you. Also, we invite you to go over to our YouTube page where you can subscribe to our channel and also click on that little bell so that when we go live for severe weather, you'll get a notification that we are going live. So these are some things that you can do in advance of the severe weather threat on Thursday. Of course, internet is a decent option, though you have to be careful on the internet, because if you're going to look for severe weather information there on the World Wide Web, especially if you're looking at social media, pay very close attention, number one, to where it's coming from and make sure it's a good, reliable source. And number two, pay real close attention to the date and the time of the post. If it is a severe weather statement or warning or a watch from the National Weather Service, odds are it's going to be outdated pretty quick. So always look at the date at the top and how long that post has been up there before you take it to heart. If it's a warning of any kind, and if it's more than 10 or 15 or 20 minutes old, odds are it's outdated. Those things don't last long. And if you have an outdoor warning siren in your neighborhood, that's great, but do not rely on it for severe weather notification indoors. There's a reason that loud, obnoxious thing is called an outdoor siren. It is designed to warn you if you are outdoors, not indoors. So don't rely on that. NOAA Weather Radio, I'll talk about it all the time. That's your number one best option. If you don't have one, you should get one. Every home in Alabama and Georgia should have a NOAA Weather Radio. They're relatively inexpensive. You can get them at your local box store. And folks ask me which one's the best. Midland is the leading manufacturer of weather radios. So whatever the latest model is at your local box store made by Midland, that is a good option. These things are so smart now, you really don't have to do a lot of programming on them to set them up. But if you do need programming information, you can go to drdonwx.com. That's our website. And there's a whole page dedicated to NOAA Weather Radio. It has all of the FIPS codes that you need if you want to program a particular county into your radio. It also has a listing of all of the different frequencies around the state of Alabama. We have Georgia on there as well, so you can go there and find out the transmitter that's closest to you so that you can pick up the best signal. All right, let's look at a couple of other things here. All right, awareness and preparedness, tornado safety. In homes or small businesses, go to the basement or small interior room. Cover your head and stay away from windows. If you live in a mobile home, make plans now to have somewhere else to go. And I'm just going to, because most of our viewers are in East Alabama and West Georgia, I'm just going to use that for an example. If you live in Clay County, Alabama, you live in Lineville or Ashland or Mellow Valley, and Talladega County goes under a tornado warning. All right, it's time for you to get out of that mobile home. I would even go a county beyond that, maybe over to St. Clair County, Jefferson. That's where your weather's going to come from. So I would go ahead and have a designated place that I'm going to go to shelter during the storm if I live in a mobile home. Now, that can be a brick and mortar home across the street from you. It could be your neighbor, your family member. Somewhere other than that mobile home. You cannot stay in a mobile home. It is not safe. It just isn't. If you're in a vehicle, get out and into a sturdy shelter. If one's not available, get to a low spot, cover your head from flying debris, or stay in the vehicle and buckle up if you have absolutely no other option. Now, that's not a good option, but it's better than absolutely nothing at all. So make sure that you understand that. Get out of mobile homes. Get out of vehicles unless you have no other option. If you're caught out there on the road and a tornado's barreling down at you and you just have nowhere else to go, make sure your seatbelt's on. Should be on anyway if you're driving down the road. So just be real careful with that. And this I can't stress enough because we have a thing here we called the whatabouts on Dr. Don's weather page. It's the What About Club. Invariably, when we're talking about East Alabama and West Georgia, we will talk in general terms about the areas. And then we will get 50 folks that will post and say, well, what about Randolph County? What about Wedowee? What about Roanoke? What about LaGrange? Understand where you live, folks. Get a map. If you're in Georgia, get a Georgia map. If you're in Alabama, get a Alabama map. And look where your county's at. East Alabama, pretty much in our coverage area, is Cleburne, Clay, Randolph, Talladega, Coosa, Tallapoosa, Chambers, and Lee. And in West Georgia, when I say West Georgia, I'm talking about Carroll, Hurd, Troup, and Harris. So understand where East Alabama is and where West Georgia is so that you can understand what we're talking about. Another reason why it's very important to know where your county is on the map is so that you know where you are located geographically, so that when a tornado warning is issued for Clay County and you live in Randolph County and the storm is moving east, you know that Clay County is right next door to Randolph. So that storm's going to be coming through Clay County and coming right into Randolph County. And for those of you that, most folks know what the counties are around the county they live in, but you need to know downstream a little bit. You need to know where, if you live in Randolph County, you need to know where Shelby County is at. You need to know where Chilton County, Autauga County, Elmore County, because those are the counties where East Alabama's weather comes from. So get to know your map. We used to have to learn that in school. I don't think that they teach that much anymore. But back in the day, we had to put all the counties on the map, and I actually think we had to draw the entire map. So that's a good thing to know. That's a need-to-know item right there. So make sure that you do. Again, for those of you that are just joining us, we're looking for a threat of severe weather across East Alabama and West Georgia on Thursday. This will be late in the afternoon or early evening. Probably the window of opportunity we're looking at here is from 7 p.m. through midnight across most of East Alabama. And across East Alabama, we're looking at a slight risk of severe weather. Now I really don't like that terminology, and I don't like the way the Storm Prediction Center has this set up. Because when someone tells you that there is a slight chance something is going to happen, you immediately think, well, that's no big deal. It most likely isn't going to happen. And so you ignore it. But that's not really what this means. A slight risk is actually a pretty good risk of severe weather. It's broken down into 5 categories. You see them right there at the bottom of the screen. Slight is a 2 out of 5, enhanced is a 3 out of 5, and then moderate's a 4 out of 5. And of course, that purple is high. And we did see some of that last week. And in the area where we had that high risk and where we had some moderate risk, we had a lot of tornadoes last week. 22 of them, as a matter of fact, across the state of Alabama. That is, by definition, a significant severe weather outbreak. And so the Storm Prediction Center thinks that we may see that again on Thursday. The best opportunity for that to happen will be in that red area. The next best opportunity will be in the orange area and then the yellow. And the reason why is because this line of storms will be weakening as it moves to the east and to the south across Alabama and Georgia on your Thursday. Let's take a quick peek at the Southern Union State Community College Live Doppler HD radar this evening. Oh, and by the way, we have a brand new sponsor here on Dr. Don's weather page, Genesis Weight Clinic in downtown Roanoke at 334-863-LOSS, 334-863-LOSS, Genesis Weight Clinic. We appreciate those fine folks sponsoring Dr. Don's weather page. So if you get a chance, stop by there, see what they have to offer, and tell them thank you for helping keep Dr. Don's weather page on the air for East Alabama and West Georgia. So here's the latest radar shot from the Southern Union State Community College Live Doppler HD radar. We see a couple of areas of activity. One of them down there in southern Mississippi, back over into southwest Alabama, down around Mobile. Nothing severe down there. It stretches all the way back to New Orleans. Then some more rain back around Lake Charles. And then if you look back out there around Dallas, over here in Texas, that is where our severe threat will ultimately come from. So this is the area that we're going to be watching over the next 12 to 24 hours as it continues to rotate off to the north and northeast. And as a matter of fact, too, not only do we have a tornado threat and hail threat, but we also have a flash flood threat across North Alabama and across North Georgia also. Some areas up here across North Alabama, North Georgia, could be in the 2 to 4 inch range and with locally higher amounts as this system moves through on Thursday and Thursday afternoon. So A flash flood threat will also be there, primarily because of all the rain that we've had over the last week or so. All right, so I'm going to go over here and take a look at the comments right quick and answer some questions. If now's a good time to post questions if you have any. I see where someone's posted that that big box store in Anniston was fully stocked with Midland WR120s. They're about $35 to $40, and that is the that's the latest model, and that's the one that I would recommend. I'm a geek, folks. I just am. But if I go in the electronics section at Walmart, and I don't care which Walmart I go in or which town it's in, I always look to see if they have those radios. And I very few times have I found a Walmart that doesn't have them in stock. So there's no reason why you can't go out tomorrow morning or even this evening. It's still early, and get you one. You got plenty of time to do that before the storms roll in tomorrow. Every home should have one of these. It's got a battery backup on it so that if the power fails, you'll still get the weather information. This is not set up through the internet or anything like that. This is it's old school communications. It comes from a transmitter. So the chances of something going wrong are much less with this type of a setup. And I can guarantee you, without a shadow of a doubt, this will wake you from a dead sleep at 2 a.m. in the morning. There's no danger of you sleeping through a storm if you have a NOAA weather radio. So be sure you get one of those. Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate your comments. Well, Brandy, that is fantastic. She says that her fourth graders know their surrounding counties, and a few kids know all of the counties. I'm so glad to see that. Brandy Pike, thank you. And more power to you. Keep teaching those kids the things they really need to know to survive in this world. There's a lot of them, but teaching them to understand and learn where they are on a map is a huge thing. Thank you very much for that information. Yeah, Deborah, fantastic idea. A NOAA weather radio is a great wedding gift. It's also a great Christmas gift, birthday gift. Yeah. Thank you, Elrod. Elrod knows how tired I am. Well, maybe not. He's on vacation now, but he did understand. We have been operating mass vaccination sites in the state of Georgia. Elrod's been running one down south, and I've been running one up north. Folks, we're in week number 5, and there have been more 16-hour days than I can count. It has been an adventure, but it's for a fantastic cause, so we're all in. Thank you, Marlon. All right, I'm just scanning through the chat room here to see this information that I'm showing here on the screen is available from the National Weather Service. All you have to do is type in National Weather Service Office Birmingham, and all of these slides that you see that I've been looking at tonight, which talks about ways to receive severe weather information, what to do if a tornado is approaching or a warning is issued for your area. All this information is available at the National Weather Service on their website, and you can download it. It's free. It's published by the federal government, so all this stuff is free, no copyright, and you can download this stuff and share it with your class and teach and help use this information as teaching aids. Wedowee is in the house. Good evening to you, Wedowee. All right, I'm going to run through this one more time. And if you're just joining us, if you have a question or a comment, now's a good time to post it there in the chat section, and I'll look at that one more time before I get out of here. But we're here tonight to talk to you about the possibility of another significant severe weather outbreak across Alabama and Georgia. This time it looks like it's going to be more of a threat across north and central Alabama, north and central Georgia. You get south of the I-85 corridor in Alabama and Georgia, the threat seems to lessen as this storm system moves through, because it's going to be in a weakening mode as it moves off to the south and to the east. But the timing for East Alabama and West Georgia is 7 p.m. through midnight tomorrow night. I'm a little concerned because a lot of folks started saying, well, y'all blew the forecast last week, said it was going to have severe weather, and we didn't. Look outside your bubble. There was a significant severe weather event across Alabama, Mississippi. There was over 22 tornadoes just in the state of Alabama last week. So that forecast was not a bust. It was dead on. So you got to take what the National Storm Forecast Center is telling you seriously. And so they're warning us again that this is a good possibility on Thursday. Yes, the chances are higher to the north and west, basically on a line from Gadsden to Birmingham to Tuscaloosa, north and west. There's a better chance that we'll see widespread severe weather up there because of the timing. That line will be coming through right in the peak heating of the day up there. Now, by the time it gets into the Birmingham area or just south of Birmingham, we'll be in the later afternoon hours, so we'll be a little bit cooler. Air will be a little bit more stable, but the risk is still high there. And then when we get into East Alabama, we're talking 7 p.m. to midnight. We lose the heating of the day as soon as the sun goes down. So the storms will be weakening as they move through East Alabama and most of West Georgia. But that's not to say that we can't still have a few tornadoes and damaging winds and up to 60-mile-per-hour wind with quarter-sized hail. We certainly can. See it all the time in that slight risk category. It happens. So you got to pay attention to this. And then as you get down there around the I-85 corridor from basically from Atlanta down to LaGrange to Auburn and then down to around Montgomery, then we get into that marginal risk area where we still could have severe weather, but it won't be as widespread as what we expect upstream throughout the afternoon hours back up into northwest Alabama. All modes of severe weather will be possible on Thursday, including tornadoes, damaging wind, and severe-sized hail. So make sure you understand what the threats are for your Thursday. Now let's go back up here and talk about a few of these items again. How you receive severe weather information. Word of mouth is the absolute best way to get information out to your friends and family, to be weather aware, to know that there is a threat of severe weather on Thursday. And then as we get into the actual event, everyone needs to have a good source of severe weather information. Most folks have a smartphone nowadays, and there's nothing wrong with using your smartphone to get weather information. Make sure that your wireless emergency alerts are turned on. If you routinely receive Amber Alerts, then your wireless emergency alert option is turned on. But if you want to make sure that it's turned on, Google your phone model and ask the question, how to turn on wireless emergency alerts, and then they'll give you instructions on how to do that. It's real simple. And you can also download an app. Most all apps work the same. Just make sure it's an app from a reputable source that will give you severe weather alerts, watches, and warnings. And of course, local television and radio. Local TV is pretty much not an option in East Alabama or West Georgia, but we do have some radio stations around that do a good job. God's Country over in Ashland for one, and the Classic. They both do a fantastic job, and most of the time when I'm broadcasting live, they'll simulcast with me. So you can get me on radio, you can get me on Facebook, multiple ways on Facebook, and also on YouTube. And of course, internet. And again, be careful that you're watching a good, reputable source on the internet. There are some folks out there that try to sensationalize weather events. So make sure that you can trust the person that you're getting your information from. Dr. Don's weather page, our policy always has been and always will be. We pretty much stick right with the National Weather Service, but because we're only looking at a handful of counties across East Alabama and West Georgia, we can fine-tune that information and focus more on a small area as to where the National Weather Service has to worry about most of the state of Alabama, and in Georgia, Peachtree City has to worry about most of the state of Georgia as well. Of course, Georgia's split up with multiple Weather Service offices. They've got Tallahassee, they've got Columbia, they've got Greenville, South Carolina. They've got a lot of different offices working the state of Georgia. Alabama really only has 3 offices. That's Huntsville, Birmingham, and Mobile. Well, everybody in East Alabama is covered by Birmingham. So they have a lot of different counties they have to worry about. We only focus on a handful of counties. So that's how we do things. Do not rely on outdoor warning sirens. Now, if you're at the ball field watching Little League baseball, or if you're walking through the parking lot at that big box store going to get your NOAA weather radio, or if you're coming out of the grocery store and you hear one of those outdoor warning sirens go off, then that's fine. That's because that's what they're designed for. But if you are in your living room at 10 o'clock at night or in the bed at 2 a.m. sound asleep, that siren that's a half a mile or a mile or 2 miles down the road, you are not going to hear it inside your home. And you're sitting back going, oh, yeah, I've heard it inside my house many times. How many times have you heard it inside your house during the middle of a driving rainstorm and thunder and lightning going on outside? You got to understand that dampens the sound. It won't carry as far. So even if you routinely hear a siren inside your house, unless that joker is sitting in your front yard, don't rely on it. And even then, I wouldn't rely on it because they're electronic. So many things can go wrong. They sit there idle most of the time except for the weekly or monthly test. And so things can happen to them and they won't go off when you really need them. Now, I'm not downplaying sirens. I'm a big fan of sirens. I actually had a hand in putting up the first sirens that ever went up in Randolph County back in the mid-90s. So I'm all about some sirens, just they're not designed for indoor warning, so do not rely on them. Get you a NOAA weather radio. That's the best way to do it. And of course, like I said, share information. Make sure all your friends and family know that there is a significant threat of severe weather on Thursday. So what do you do if a tornado warning is issued for your area? If you're in a home or a business, you want to go to the basement or small interior room on the lowest floor. A closet is a good option. A bathroom that does not have an exterior wall is a good option. A small room in the center of that lowest floor in your home is where you want to go. Now, you want to cover your head and stay away from windows. A good option here is a lot of folks have kids that play baseball and softball. They have batting helmets. Yeah, let's put those batting helmets on. If you don't have batting helmets, a football helmet will work. A bicycle helmet, anything to protect your head is a good idea. Also, make sure that everybody's got on hard sole shoes. In the event there is damage to your home and you have to get out of it, you want to make sure you got good protection for your feet. And it's also a good idea, and you've seen these in the party section, at one of those big box stores, the compressed can horn. It's a can of air, and it's got a little horn on the top of it. Get you one of those and put it in your safe place. That way, God forbid, your home gets destroyed and rescuers are trying to find you. Now you got a way of getting their attention. So that's also a good thing to have with you. If you live in a mobile home, and folks, I'm not picking on mobile homes. I've lived in them many times in my life and would live in them again if that situation came up. They're beautiful, and I have zero issues with a mobile home. But that is not where you need to be in the middle of a tornado. It's just not an option. You got to get out. Take shelter in a sturdy building or a storm shelter. There is just no safe place to shelter in a mobile home. That's just the bottom line. So go ahead and make plans now. You got to know somebody somewhere. You got to have a friend, a family member, where you can go and ride out the storms. And don't wait until your county goes under a warning to make that decision. You know, if you live in Randolph County, Alabama, and you start seeing tornado warnings a couple of counties to the west of you, yeah, it's time to go somewhere else and get out of that mobile home. If you're in a vehicle, you want to get out just like you would a mobile home. If you cannot find somewhere to go, if you're in a vehicle, if you get caught on the roadway and you have absolutely no other options, then make sure your seatbelt is buckled and get down as low as you can. Pull off on the side of the road, stop, and get down as low as you possibly can. Quite honestly, an automobile is not a good option because, well, you can see there in the photographs what happens to an automobile that gets hit by a tornado. You don't want to be there. The best option here is to be weather aware enough to where you know that threat of severe weather is close enough to where you are not to even get in that vehicle to start with. Then you won't be caught in that situation. And one more stop, that is a map. This is a map of the state of Alabama, but if you're in Georgia, get you a Georgia map. And if you don't understand or know exactly where your county is, number one, make sure you know which county you live in, because when these warnings are issued, they're issued by county for the most part. So make sure you understand where your county is in your state, whether it's Alabama or Georgia. Evansville at West Point Lake is listening in this evening. Thank you, Evansville. I know exactly where you're at, Mr. Jimmy, and we appreciate you listening in to us this evening. Thank you, Shirley. Appreciate your comments. There's Dottie. And God does answer prayers. He always has and always will. Pamela's saying that Opelika only got rain last time, and that's great. That's a blessing that's all you got. But don't compare last time to what this time could bring you, because it could be different. It wasn't that long ago, Beauregard, just south of Opelika. You remember what happened down there. It wasn't pretty. And that was what? That was just 2 years ago. There's Stephen Swafford hanging out over there in Dawsonville, Georgia. Good evening to you, Stephen. I'm not far at all from you. I'm hanging up off the side of Waka Mountain, Georgia, overlooking Dawsonville and Gainesville. Yeah, there's Heather Mason. She's in Frog Eye. Now, I know of a handful of folk that live in Frog Eye. So I think we've got Frog Eye wrapped up here on Dr. Don's weather page. I think everybody that lives in Frog Eye is now using Dr. Don's weather page as their primary source of severe weather information. And we appreciate that. You know, Chance, you bring up a very good point there. Sooner or later, Jesus is going to take us out, and I'm not worried about bad weather. And, you know, and I don't want anybody to be worried about bad weather. You know, if you remain weather aware and understand how to protect yourself and your family, and the number one thing that you can do to be prepared is to be aware that that possibility is there, and then stay close to a good source of weather information so that you can protect yourself and your family when severe weather happens. Look, y'all, severe weather's been happening since the beginning of time, and it'll still be happening when the lights turned off. That's not going to go away. I know a lot of folks have anxiety over severe weather, and you really shouldn't, because it's going to happen. There's nothing we can do about it other than prepare ourselves. And you know, in 99% of the cases, if you are aware and you prepare, you're going to be fine. Absolutely fine. But now understand, God gave us a brain to think with. We're supposed to use that brain. Be smart, prepare, and be aware of what's going on around you. That way you can keep yourself safe, your family safe, and you'll be just fine. Ashland's in the house this evening. Thank you. There's New Hope. There's Miss Charlotte Bishop. She's over in Daviston. All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for tonight. I just wanted to jump in here and talk to you for a few minutes and give you a heads up on the possibility of severe weather tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night across East Alabama and West Georgia. Also, again, thanks to Genesis Weight Clinic, brand new supporter here on Dr. Don's weather page. 334-863-LOSS is the number. They're in downtown Roanoke. If you get a chance, stop by there and take a look at what they have to offer. And also thank them for supporting Dr. Don's weather page. That's what keeps us on the air, along with all of those other folks you see scrolling down there at the bottom of the screen. They are all partners, and we greatly appreciate their support. And for those of you who help us individually, we thank you as well, and we ask that you keep that coming. And if you'll hang with me just one second, I'll show you how to go about doing that. It's quick, it's simple, it's easy, it's secure, and you don't even have to have a PayPal account. If you'd like to help us out at Dr. Don's weather page, it's paypal.me/Dr. Don WX. And just whatever you can do is greatly appreciated. We do have a lot of cost that's involved with this, so we depend on our partners and your support to keep this going on Dr. Don's weather page. There's one last look at the Southern Union State Community College Live Doppler HD radar. Some of that stuff down there in the Mobile area may make it up into central Alabama and eventually East Alabama tonight and into early tomorrow morning. Even a rumble of thunder is not out of the question as we get up tomorrow morning, but then the area that we think is going to bring us the best chance of severe weather is way back over here around Dallas, Texas. That is the line that'll be, and you can already see there's some monster storms over there, up there just north and west of Waco. That is a huge thunderstorm. But that's the kind of stuff that's going to be coming in northwest Alabama by noon tomorrow. And then we think by late afternoon, early evening, we'll start to see that line progress across East Alabama and West Georgia, and that may bring us some severe weather. So make sure you stay weather aware. Tell your friends and family. Make sure they understand that we do have a significant risk of widespread severe weather across both states tomorrow, and encourage them to get a NOAA Weather Radio. And also go over and like Dr. Don's weather page and subscribe to our weather groups. And also go to our YouTube page and subscribe to our channel and click on that little bell so that you'll get a notification when we go live for severe weather. Y'all have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday. I'll be back in here first thing tomorrow morning to give you the latest information and the forecast for tomorrow. And then as we get into the afternoon, I'll be posting weather information as we see things start to develop. And then maybe by early evening, if conditions are bad and if they warrant doing so, I'll be live right here on Dr. Don's weather page. I'll have a good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye now.